Alright, here's the second page of proportional reasoning, and it is how to do word problems. There are 5 steps that if you go through, I can almost guarantee you'll get them right. And remember, pause this and write this down. The first step, what 2 things is the problem talking about? It's going to talk about 2 items. Maybe milk to cartons or anything. It's going to be talking about 2 things. Okay, we're going to write, step 2, we're going to write the labels. Whatever those 2 things are, we're going to label our proportion. Okay, and if you don't do that, you always end up getting the number backwards where it's not supposed to be. Number 3, we're just going to write a blank proportion. I won't have any numbers in it. Then we'll fill it in, step 4, and then step 5, we'll cross product and divide. Okay, so pause this and get that written right now. Alright, so here I put 2 word problems from your assignment. Okay, number 1, I'm going to read it and then we're going to go through our steps. To make his special salad dressing, Wolfgang combined 7 floral ounces of oil with 4 fluid ounces of vinegar. One day he needed a larger amount, so he used 8 fluid ounces of oil. So how much vinegar does he need? Alright, so first off, what 2 things is the problem talking about? Specifically. And typically a number is going to be attached to those things. Wolfgang combines 7 fluid ounces of oil, 4 fluid ounces of vinegar. So what are the 2 things he's talking about? He's talking about oil and vinegar. Okay, and here's another one. There's the third oil. Like I told you in the last video, if they're going to give you 3 things, you have to find one. Alright, so that's step 1. We know that they're talking about oil and vinegar. Step 2 says write the labels as a proportion. Okay, so we have, here's a proportion. Well, really that's just a ratio. Okay, we have oil and we have vinegar. Sorry, didn't write that very well. Oil and vinegar. Okay, step 3, it says create a blank proportion. A blank proportion looks just like this, like 2 equivalent fractions, even though it's 2 equivalent ratios. Okay, so oil is going to go on the top and vinegar is going to go on the bottom. So Wolfgang combines 7 fluid ounces of oil with 4 fluid ounces of vinegar. So that first ratio is 7 ounces of oil on the top, 4 ounces of vinegar on the bottom. If we continue to read out, one day he needed a larger amount, so he used 8 ounces of oil. Well, because we have this thing right there, we know that oil goes on the top. And so what goes on the bottom? We don't have anything on the bottom. So guess what we have to find? We've got to find that x. This is where cross product and divide comes in, right? So what do you see that we can divide? There's only 2 numbers we can divide, or multiply. What do you see that we can multiply? My dog just came in. Hello, Boomer. Alright, Boomer's over there laying down now. So, alright, so what do you see that we can multiply? We can multiply 4 and 8. And then remember what I said before. You're just going to divide by that extra number to find out what x is. So 8 times 4 is 32. And then we have to divide that by the number on the outside by itself, which is 7. So we do 32 divided by 7. Obviously 7 doesn't fit into 3, but it does fit into 32. 4 times, because 7 times 4 is 28. 32 minus 28 is 4. You can put in a decimal. Bring that down. 7 into 40. 7 times 5 is 35. 5. Let's go ahead and add one more decimal. 50, and 7 goes into 50 7 times, because 7 times 7 is 49. Okay, so you end up, That's a strange number. X equals 4 57/100. Okay, so how much vinegar does he need? If he increases the oil just to 8, he needs just a little bit more, right? He went from 4 fluid ounces to 4 57/100 of an ounce. Okay, all right, number 3. It gets a little bit more difficult. So, gear ratio. The ratio of the number of teeth on gear A to the number of teeth on gear B is 5 to 12. All right. How many teeth are on gear B? So what are the two things that we're talking about? Talking about gear A and gear B. All right. So now we know the two things we're talking about. Talking about A and B. Set up your blank proportion, and then we're going to fill it in. So it says A to B is 5 to 12. A came first, 5 came first. A to B, 5 to 12. So A is 5 and B is 12. So how many teeth are on gear B? It says count the teeth on gear A. So we have to go over here to this picture on the right and figure out how many teeth are on gear A. So I'm going to count them off here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. There are 15 on gear A. 15 on gear A. Okay, so there's our proportion. Now we have to solve for that missing value. What can we multiply? We can multiply 12 and 15 and then just divide by the number that's left. Okay, so 15 times 12. I should probably be able to do that in my head, but I'm honestly worried I'll make a mistake. 2 times 15 is 30. Placeholder. And 1 times 15 is 15. Add those up, that is 180. 180, and then we just have to divide it by the number that we have on the outside. So it is 180 divided by 5. 5 goes into 18. 5 times 3, right? Subtract, it's 3. Bring that 0 down. 5 goes into 30. 5 and 5 is 25, so it's got to be 6. With nothing left over. Sorry, I can't. I ran out of room down there. So it ends up being 36. So X equals 36. Okay, so let's not overcomplicate it. I know sometimes we like to take shortcuts and stuff like that, but what happens so easily if you don't do the labeling or the setting up of the labels, it happens so many times that you may write the first ratio correct, but then you put the wrong number on the second one and you end up multiplying the two incorrect numbers and then you're dividing by the incorrect number. Okay, so it's very, very important that you figure out the two things it's talking about. You write those labels down. You could even just use a letter if you want to. Instead of oil, you could write O. Instead of vinegar, you could write V. I'm trying to make it easy on you. Make your blank proportion, fill it out, cross multiply, and divide.